Okay, so here we go. We are live. So welcome again to episode 2. I'm excited about our this coming episode. We have a lot to talk about. And so we have with us again, John Markey, who's going to discuss Rush's tryouts coming up in a week or less than a week. So start thinking about your questions that you want to ask him. And if you can stump him, that'll be good. I think he'll appreciate that.
I'm already stumped.
He's already stumped. Look, we can also discuss some of the Rush programs if you have questions about the Rush organization. And then we can go into what does player-centered environment look like. However, I think just with tryout questions, that might be what we talk about tonight. So I just added those just in case. So let's get started. Thank you, John, for being our guest speaker again this week. We appreciate that. This week, as we begin the hot topic of club tryouts, every year I see parents, players, and coaches dive into a pretty stressful time that we call club tryouts. It's I have talked with many players and parents over the years about the impact that the tryout environment has on their young players. So how can we as role models and mentors of these young athletes help them thrive in a tryout environment? So what would that look like? And this is just a thought later on in our conversation. As we get to it, I would love to hear your thoughts as parents on maybe some things that you have done in the past to help your child get through this time with your players during club tryouts. So thanks again, Markey, for being with us, and we're going to get started. So first of all, tell us about your experience that you have had in competitive tryout environment.
Yeah, and first off, again, thank you everybody for joining us. Thanks, Christy, for doing this every week. Hopefully, starting next week, we'll get some more knowledgeable guest speakers on. But in the meantime, I've been doing competitive tryouts for, over 20 years. And I was there when there really wasn't competitive soccer versus rec soccer and what have you. And when clubs were just forming formal competitive programs. And the one thing about that is just the stress that comes along with it. Even the players that know where they're going to be next year have a great idea. They still get stressed going into a tryout situation. And our goal is to just let them be players and not worry about the word tryout. So I wish we could do it a little bit differently, call it something different, but at the same time, we got to call it what it is. So yeah, I've never, in all the 20 plus years I've done this, it is the most stressful time, not just for the players, but for the players' parents. And it just takes one parent to say, well, we're going to go do this, and everybody freaks out and we don't know what's happening. A little bit different this year because we actually do have a lot of new things going on in Springfield in the soccer world. So it is a little bit, lot more questions, I think, with the tryout process. I've only dealt with that really once when we merged the two largest clubs in Birmingham, and you had all the questions going in. Where's my child going to end up? How are the team's going to be formed? Is my team going to get to stay together? All those things start to happen, and all those same questions are going to come up now. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be broken down to the individual. We're going to take care of each individual.
Good. Thank you for that introduction coming in to our conversation. So let's just start out. When do our tryouts start?
So we are actually, because we had already set our schedule to start on June 13th, even though we're still under COVID restriction, we'll have a training type tryout. So all the coaches and directors will be out there doing training, running players through trainings, getting to know the players. And then we'll actually start in full tryout mode on the 15th. So we'll start on 13th. We got, I think, everybody but the high school. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I think we have everybody but the high school boys coming out on Saturday, and then everybody comes out a couple times Monday through Thursday the following week.
Good. So that's good. So I already have a question from a parent, which is a good question. So I'm going to go ahead and ask this. Why are these tryouts structured with 4 sessions? Do they assess different skills at each session?
They don't. That's a great question. And the question we always get when we set up tryouts this way is, does my child have to attend all the tryouts? And a lot of things go on in the summer. We know a lot of people, especially this year with school being out because of COVID and everything. But in the tryouts, if you can't make the Saturday session and weekdays easier, maybe you make the Monday and Wednesday session. Every opportunity to be seen by the coaches is a better opportunity to show their best. And the one thing that I found in tryout situations is a player may show up, especially in a nervous situation, especially if they're going to a new team or they have a new coach, and not show their best that first night because they're just nervous. So they hold back a little bit, or they don't take the lead, or they try too hard and make some mistakes that they don't normally make. And by the second and third tryout, they're really getting in their comfort zone. And once they're really comfortable, we get to see what kind of player they're going to be and what is the best fit for them. So our goal is really about finding the best fit for the player. The more we get to know the player in a tryout situation, the easier it is for us to find the best fit for them, both from a coaching standpoint, from a level standpoint.
Good. So when we're talking about, the schedule for tryouts, where is that schedule found? Where can parents go to see what ages are at what times?
Pretty much everywhere. It's on our website. It's at SWMORush.org. It's on our Facebook. It's on our Instagram. We're putting it out all week so that people can make sure they get it. So we have it a lot of different places from posting. Or you can always email info@SWMORush.org or Christy K at SWMORush.org, and we'll get you the information.
Sounds good. So let's start talking about the process of what tryouts will look like. So beginning with, what's the process? What do our parents need to do first?
Well, it's really modeled after an ODP type tryout situation. Very professional setup. We'll have rush tents set up on Cooper 1. They need to get registered. Go on Southwest Missouri, SWMORush.org, and register your player for tryouts. We have we're approaching 400 kids registered already, so I know most of you have already done it. But get your kid registered so we know about him, know it coming, we can plan. And then when you show up to tryouts, you'll sign in. They'll get their tryout T-shirt that already has a number. That number will be used throughout their tryouts, any sessions they show up for. And they'll get, we'll tie that number to their name for the coach's sake. And then they'll go to the field that they're assigned to. So they'll be directed. They'll always start at the tent, and they'll be directed to the field that they're assigned to each day.
So when you're talking about the T-shirts, are they to wear those at each session, and why would they need to do that?
Yeah, each player will receive a Southwest Missouri Rush T-shirt that has a unique number on the back, on the upper back, and that will be their unique tryout number throughout. So on the field, we'll have the team the coach that's going to be coaching that age group or that team, along with 2 to 3 other coaches and or directors that are evaluating. So we want to get a lot of different eyes on the player so we get the best evaluation we can. And so because of that, we want to make sure that player brings those numbers. If they come out as second or third tryout and they forget their number, that's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll write a number down on a piece of paper, type or attach it to them. But ideally, if they wear that shirt out every session, it'll be easiest to maintain and keep up with them.
Yes. Being a part of the ODP and going through that process, the tryout number is very important, and those girls who they know to wear their shirts at each session so they can be identified. So
And boys.
super important. And boys, sorry. So I have a question for you from a parent. Do you anticipate the COVID restrictions continuing after June 13th? Will tryouts continue in a training format if COVID restrictions are not lifted?
At this point, they will. We have some other training techniques we can use to get the information we have. We feel comfortable that they're going to roll into phase 3 on June 15th, like they have said. And if they do, then the way it reads, contact practices for contact sports is allowed at that point. So based on that recommendation from the mayor and the county commission, we feel pretty comfortable, and the people I've talked to at the health department that will move forward. But we'll go by the rules. If there's somebody who's still not comfortable because of COVID-19, all they have to do is email myself or Christy and at and just let us know that, and we'll find another way to get them evaluated, because we want to make sure every child has an opportunity. And if COVID-19 is holding back because maybe they have high risk members in their family, or maybe the child's a high risk candidate themselves, then we're not going to deny them an opportunity to play for a team just because of that.
Thank you for that question. That was a good question. So let's move on. So about the process, will we have parent meetings during that first Saturday?
Yeah, we have it set up in a couple different things. We have a player development. We're still working on his title, but Kirk Nelson is from, he's a assistant coach, women's coach at Missouri State. He's a U.S. soccer scout. He's run ODP in Missouri. He's still at ODP. He's on the national ODP staff, the regional ODP staff. So Kirk is going to be doing a lot of things for us throughout the season, throughout the year. So between Kirk and myself, some of the other directors, Thalen, we'll be talking to the parents at each session on Saturday. Probably bring groups together best we can, and just answer questions, talk about the process, go into as much as we can on all kinds of different things, and kind of discuss a little bit about the Rush Way and what our plan is.
Yeah, so we're excited about having Kirk on staff with us. He's going to bring a lot of player development to our environment, and he's also going to bring a lot of coaching education to our coaches on staff. So we're super excited to have him on board. And so the next question is, so what can you expect during the tryout that day? So like from the coaches, so what's the actual process for the players when they get out on the field? What do you think that's going to be like?
There's a lot of different things that go on. And number one, the coaches that are out there, hopefully they're out there. Their direction is going to be meeting the players as they arrive on the field, get their name, ask their name. Players like to be called by name as opposed to being called, hey, 296. We'd rather say, hey, Joanna or something, and call them by name. So we want the coaches to try to make the kids feel as comfortable as possible. As they arrive at the field, we'll go through a short warm-up. We'll get them going through some of the drills. If it's the Monday through Thursday sessions, then we'll get them trained up, warmed up, and playing as quick as we can. But it's going to be really about getting the kids in the best possible position from a coaching standpoint to show their best. So that's going to be a big piece of it. The instructions to the group out there, right at time. If it's at 10:30 tryout, at 10:30, coaches will bring everybody in, explain to them exactly what's going to happen, and then get them moving. So we want to use every minute we have of the tryout to get a chance to see the kids.
Good. So we've been going through, like, some of the players have been on specific teams, but their age is different. So are we going to have those players meet within their specific birth year, or how is that going to look for each player?
In an ideal world, every player would try out within their age group. But because there's so much change this first year, we're allowing players to try out where they feel most comfortable coming in. We are suggesting players that are of a different age group than the team that they've played with go to a tryout with their age group and with their old team, so they kind of get a feel for both, get a feel for those coaches, get a feel for the players within those groups. As we roll into year two, we want to start moving, especially with the younger agers, getting kids in their age group. It doesn't mean that a child will never play in a different age group, but just that from a developmental standpoint, we're going to try to get them where they belong. And typically that's within their age group in most cases. There's some cases where a child needs to play up an age group in just for their personal development. If that's the case, we're not going to hold them back.
Good. So let's talk about, so who are some of our coaches that we have coming in, and why are we excited about them? I was trying to stump you.
Christy's really excited just because she's done a lot with the girls coaches, and we got a big staff of a lot of the girls coaches that are coming in. And the one thing we have is we have a very diverse group. She's brought in a few female coaches, which there's not that many in Springfield, but she's gone out and hunted some down. She's told some girls, some ladies that you're coaching that didn't expect to coach. I see Marie on here. I think Marie was not planning on being a coach until Chrissy said, "Oh yeah, you're a coach," because she's played forever. She knows the game, and those are the type of coaches we're looking for there. We've got coaches that have played college. We've got coaches that have played internationally. I think we have them from 5 or 6 different nations now, something like that. U.S. included. We have plenty that have been born and raised here. We have Springfield coaches. We got them from all over different parts of the country. It's a very diverse group of coaches that bring in a lot of different styles and different things that are going to coach within the Rush, but at the same time bring their own individuality to it. And the nice thing about the way we'll be set up is all the kids, whether their coach is from France or from America or from Springfield, are going to have opportunities to learn for those during the skills nights that will give. That will be part of what we do. They'll all be involved at some point within the skills night.
Yeah, I'm so excited about our coaches. It's been so fun to get to know them and their background and who they are, and the culture of soccer or football in other countries is awesome. And so hearing them share about their experiences has been really cool. So I've so much enjoyed getting to know our coaches. So yeah. So did you have something, John?
Nope.
Yeah.
Can we bring Coach Fetty in and let him talk a little bit about being in America, Fetty?
Fetty, do you want to talk in?
I pass. I'm just kidding. If there's a question I made, but John is way more knowledgeable than me.
Yeah, but the experience that you bring, you want to talk a little bit about your background, just short, kind of tell us how you ended up here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm Coach Fetty. I am from France. I was born in Algeria, North Africa. Been coaching in the U.S. for almost about 10 years now. I coach in Texas. I coach in Washington State, and about a year now in Springfield. So I've been around soccer since I was little. I played soccer, club soccer, competitive soccer over there. I was in an academy for a few years, and yeah, the love of soccer is here. I grew up watching it, grew up loving it, and it's like I said, it's a team game, and when you have love for something, you got to share it with your surrounding.
Yes, thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so let's talk about when we're discussing the tryout process. When, I know parents may want to know this, when will roster decisions be finalized?
Oh, we already know, don't we? No, just kidding. The reality is We will start making commitments the first day. A lot of that will be people we already know that have been on teams that we know want to stay with us. But we would hope to have all of them finalized as early as the 21st. And then if there's people, players out there that haven't been placed in that week following the 21st, I think that, we're going to do what we can, whether it's us or call one of the other clubs to make sure that all the players have a home. So I think that will be the week following June 21st. But I think we'll have a good handle by Father's Day as to what the team makeups are. Because we want to get going. We want the team start getting to know each other. We want the coaches start getting to know their teams through some team meetings and stuff. But we really want to start to move that forward.
Yeah, do we have any questions, parents? You can go ahead and type that into the chat feature on your Zoom. Cool. Here's some. All right, so I read an email outlining the Rush soccer player pathway. Are there opportunities for older players who have played club ball in Springfield before Rush to have trials with the professional team through Rush, HB Kobe, and I don't know how to say it, Duisburg? It's our professional groups.
Yeah, I mean, the Rush pathway, if we have somebody tied in with Rush, and we don't care if it's somebody that comes in this year or has been around for a while, but that pathway is open to all Rush players. All 35,000 plus Rush players have access to that pathway. That's all the way up through the USL pro teams, the European pro clubs that are involved with us. We just finalized a new office in Frankfurt, Germany, and I think the German league is a great place where a lot of the Rush players may end up, some of them. But not only that, the college program CAP that is run through Rush is a phenomenal. There's over 10,000 players on the CAP program right now, getting the education and getting the knowledge they need on searching for a college to play for. So that process is already going. Josh Taylor, who runs that program, is in St. Louis, and in fact, I got an email from him yesterday asking about players and wants to know anything he can do. If we need him to come down and talk to our freshmen through seniors, he's willing to do it just to help them move along and help with their search.
So when will practice start in the fall?
We will run a team camp the last week of July, which is kind of a kickoff for us. We'll get out there. We'll get a bunch of training in that Monday through Friday. We'll get practice training, both technical and tactical, with their coach. We'll do some scrimmage games against other teams. Some of the girls teams we may take a U15 girls team, play against a U13 or 14 boys team, because of speed of play and what have you. So we'll make matchups. Coaches want to be looking at different things, so they want to play against a more technical team, or they may want to play against a faster team, or they may want to play against a slower team where they can really break down the organization. As a staff, we'll work that out to make sure those matchups are happening from a training standpoint. But that's kind of the kickoff. And then we kick off right around August 1 with the season. So we'll go August, September, October, and we'll train up all through Thanksgiving. And then we'll have some winter opportunities after that.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Here's another question from one of our parents. When will the coaches for each age group be announced?
Before tryouts, we're working on finalizing that. I know Christy, I think, has her girls coaches pretty well assigned. I just got Tyler's boys coaches today to go over. I see Tyler's on the call, but so I think we're pretty close to that. Probably if we ever get internet back at Lake Country, it's been out since last week's polls went down. We have power back, but we haven't had internet since last Thursday. So we're doing a lot of it from home and trying to go through some of this stuff. But I'm guessing Wednesday we'll be able to post coaches is the plan. Fees will be posted, everything will be posted. We want as much information out before people get to tryouts as possible.
Yeah, you guys, parents, you can send me an email and I can get with you about the coaches. So that's not a big deal. Let's see. Let's see. Do we have an idea of the percent of the number of kids that are placed on a team?
If I'm reading the question right, percentage-wise, our goal is 100% of players that want to play competitive being placed on teams. If we can get to 98 or 99%, we feel pretty good. But our goal is to keep 100% of the kids in the game, whether they be with Rush or somebody else, is not our biggest concern, because our goal is to make sure we keep kids playing soccer, and so whatever that percentage is, I mean, if it's 100%, then we've done our job. If it's not 100%, we still have some work to do.
Yep. So will teams be playing locally or traveling to St. Louis and or Heartland leagues?
Yes. So each team will be defined. We will send teams to both Heartland, Slica, and St. Louis and Lake Country based on the team's development and what's best for the development of the players on that team. Typically, all teams will play at least 4 games in Springfield so that they can have some local games. And if you look at those league games and developmental games, then it's perfect. That also qualifies them to play in State Cup or in President's Cup, which Heartland does not qualify them to do. Slica does qualify them. It is a recognized league by MISA and does qualify them to play in State Cup or President's Cup. But just like State Cup and President's Cup, the league will be determined once tryouts are done based on the caliber and the level of the team. We don't look to send a team out of the city to play if they're not ready for that, just to say they are. So we want to make sure it's the right developmental program for that team and each of those players.
Good. Thank you for that question. And will there be opportunities for our Rush teams to play against other Rush teams from around the state or the region?
Yeah, we're actually working on a couple different things there. We have a couple of things. First off, there's a Rush loaner program that if a player is going to Kansas City with a sibling for a tournament or something and they want to play while they're there, we can contact Rush, and if they got room, they'll put them on one of their teams. If we're taking a team to Kansas City and we need a couple players because of injuries, we could call, let's say we're going to Kansas City, we can call Kansas Rush. Going to St. Louis, we can call Gateway Rush or Missouri Rush, and they'll help us out with players through the Rush loaner program. The other thing is I just had a call last week where they're considering Springfield to bring in a Rush regional event, a Midwest Rush regional event to our complex, because they typically do it in Chicago, and with COVID-19 can't do it in Chicago this year. So that would be really that'd be pretty close to our team camp time, which would be pretty cool. We're also looking at a July event in 2021. We've already talked to Missouri Rush as a co-sponsor, and the Springfield Sports Commission to bring in a regional Rush event into Springfield. And we have about 8 Rush clubs within a 5-hour driving radius. So we're already working on that process for 2021 and beyond.
That's awesome. So just to follow up with that, what are some of our goals for this first year for this new endeavor we are embarking on?
Our first goal is get off the ground, and I think we're getting there. But I mean, the reality of it is our goal this year is really get people comfortable with who we are. They might know our names from soccer or seeing us around, but we want them to understand how we do things, why we do things the way we do, and that they find it as an advantage for their child, for their player. And so that's really our goal, is to get our programs and our culture set to where all the parents, whether they're part of Rush or not part of Rush this first year, understand what we're all about, because we are new. We understand that there's a little hesitation coming in as to what's this brand new thing coming in. Granted, we're bringing really good clubs together to do it. We've changed the structure. The one positive thing I've seen is all the coaches, no matter what club they were with in the past, have really come together as a unit and made it work. But I think our first goal is to really set a culture, build the culture, and by year 2, people really start to understand what we're about and continue to grow on that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing our growth this first year. So I would like to ask if any of our directors that are on the call would like to add any additional information that maybe we have missed.
Hey, this is Thalen here. I don't have anything to add. I think John pretty much touched all bases there, and Christy, you as well. What I do want to add is not really informational, but I'm super excited about what's going on, and I kind of want to add to what was said earlier about the diversity of the coaching staff is something that's really, I mean, those of you that know soccer, as we call it here, the game is played differently in all parts of the world, and I think the club really touches all parts of the world. And so I think the kids are going to get a chance to learn from lots of different styles, and that's only going to be a benefit. I joked with some of the parents and some of the coaches even a week or two ago about we had a coaching meeting for like the coaching staff on the boys side, and there were so many different languages spoken within that one meeting that it was kind of cool. And I don't speak very many languages, but just the feeling of that was really, it made you realize that this is bigger than yourself, and that soccer is a global game. And I think Rush will really show that with our staff right here in Little Springfield, Missouri. So I'm really excited to get started.
Yeah, thank you for that insight, Thalen. I appreciate that. That's really, really good stuff. Anyone else, directors, or any coaches that want to add to the conversation?
Yeah, sure. I've got to attest to, I'm really excited to get things started. Like Thalen was saying, we've just got a huge diverse staff, not only in people coming from different countries, but even from the clubs and the teams that we're coming from. There are different ideas that we can all bring to the table to make Rush what it is. And so hearing how maybe one club did it differently from the other has been very enlightening and very informational. And so, I'm really excited. It really is a group, the staff, the leadership, that truly cares about the players and just want to help them in any way to help them get to the level that they want to be. So again, just kind of expressing that I'm really looking forward to what we're building and to the rest of the season.
Hey, Tyler, sorry. So I want to ask you a question. So this was from one of the parents, what were all the local clubs that came together to become Southwest Missouri Rush?
Yeah, sure. So Magic and Legacy were the first to merge under Lake Country with John Markey. And, Christy and I, we're coming from a little bit of a different situation. Christy's coming from Sporting, and I'm actually coming from Demise. So you're really getting pretty much all the clubs that were in Southwest Missouri, or at least the bigger clubs coming together to make Rush what it is. And so you're getting a little piece of everything, which has been, again, just a great experience. So it's a lot of different components coming together.
Yeah, thank you. We are bringing. Yeah, go ahead, Marky.
I just want to add a couple of things to that. Some of the other like some of the independent teams that we've brought in, and then some of the other recreational programs we're bringing in, are all a part of what we're doing too. We're not just a competitive club. I mean, our recreation program is going to end up being about as big as the competitive side when we get done with it. Right now, our focus is on competitive side because we got to get through this big animal called tryouts, and once we do, we can really start to focus on the other pieces of it. But not that we haven't, but I want to bring that up as well.
Hey, so Thalen, he's our technical director. I have a question for you, Thalen. So this is from one of, okay, this is from one of the parents. What will our style of play at Rush be? What will we follow?
Well, Rush has some basic principles that they outline. They have a pretty detailed curriculum about how we want to train players, but I can't say enough. We want to be player-centered, and we also aren't going to tell coaches this is how you have to coach the game, because once again, we have a very diverse coaching staff that has come from different clubs, different parts of the world. So we want you to coach to we want the coaches to coach to what they know. So if a coach has a personnel to play a certain style of play, then by all means, I think they should play that. But we're going to give suggestions here and there, obviously, and say that there's the Rush way, which mainly is a way of mine and not necessarily a style of play in my vision, right? So I think coaches should be able to adapt to whatever their personnel tells them, and that's very important. As a coach, you have to be a good observer. And so the coaches need to observe the talent. What do they have, and what's best for that team? We, as directors, we will guide them if they need assistance in that. But we're not going to tell them they have to coach a certain way, because my way may not be Christy's way, which may not be Tyler's way. So we're going to give coaches freedom to kind of choose what they see as best for their team, and we might give a little nudge along the way here and there too.
Christy, just to touch on that a little bit, and Thalen's exactly right. The Rush Way is built on a principle-based program from a lot of different coaches from over 100 different clubs within who have coached over 35,000 players. So it's a system that works. So it gives an outline to go by from that standpoint. But your actual format that you run within a game situation and that you coach to is really going to be based on the players that you have. You can't run a direct speed game if you don't have any fast players. You can't run a pure possessional game if you don't have the technical ability to do that. So each coach is going to have to adjust based on the players that they get at tryouts to that, but they have a strong base and curriculum to go by that Rush gives us and that we all bring to the table.
Okay, thank you for that question. So is there anyone that would like to collaborate about my question about the environment for your child coming up? Does anybody would like to pipe in and chat about that?
I will. I've talked a lot, but I will. But I think that this is one of the things that, and I've coached way too many years, but the reality of it is the one thing that I always come back to. I told my team this last year when I first started coaching, first time I coached since I moved to Springfield. But it's not about winning or losing. I mean, the winning is a byproduct of developing a strong program, and it happens from that standpoint. And I'm as competitive as they come. And I've raised 4 very competitive kids who still try to beat me at everything when we get together. But the reality of it is it's all about building the players and building confidence in the players. And what I've seen with players that I've had in the past, and our coaches, we've talked about it, is when they learn to be confident on the field, when they learn to take chances and take risks, they become better players on the field and off the field. It grows their confidence when they go into a work situation or something else. So those are all pieces that confidence and that ability to take some calculated risk during a game situation without the fear of failure is something that we're going to continue to teach. we're going to continue to teach our coaches that idea, and we're going to continue teaching on the field.
Okay, thank you, John, for that. And I'm looking forward to tryouts. I've been so excited about them coming up, and I can't hardly wait. So I hope to see everyone out there on the field. Was there any last thing we need to talk about?
Yeah, I know people want to know about fees, but they're afraid to ask.
I was wondering when a question would pop up, but it never did.
That's right. But they're always afraid to ask. But this will be posted later in the week. Right now, we're ironing out the payment plans that'll be available and what have you. But the fees are going to be structured for under 10 and down, under U9, U10, U11, U12, U13, U14, and then the high school age based on really playing one season or a season plus a month or so that they'll train and what have you. So we're looking somewhere right around $1,130. And the thing about this is that's everything, $1,130 in a year for U9, U10. That's uniform, tournaments, leagues, coaches pay, coaches travel, registration fees, field usage, all that stuff gets played in there. So this is not an a la carte program where we're coming back to say, well, you got to pay more later on. These are numbers that are built in, and that could change a little bit up and down. We're ironing out the details, but we'll probably have a couple different payment plans, maybe a three payment plan, 6 payment plan, allowing people to pay it off over terms if they want. 11, 12, somewhere around about $40 more. And then U13, U14, because the tournament, mainly the biggest thing that changes the prices on these is typically tournament and league fees go up. Even though the number of players go up, that doesn't really match. So there is a cost difference there. So it's all calculated, but somewhere around $1,200 on 13, 14. And then high school age, they're looking anywhere around $750 for a high school player, maybe a little more. We're trying to iron that last one out. The one thing in there, if we play a team in the State Cup is very expensive. So that would be the only thing that might kick it up for a higher level team from that standpoint. But I think that's pretty much in line with as an annual cost, and this is annual, not per season. That includes the uniform. That includes tournament and league costs. That includes per diem for a coach going out of town for an out-of-town league. That includes registration fees that we pay. We pay $9.50 to Rush per season per player. We pay $25 to Missouri Youth Soccer per player. So all those costs are included in here.
So how are the uniforms going to be ordered individually or via the team?
The uniforms will be, once the teams are formed, the team will be given a code and their roster will be submitted. They will go online, order the uniform. It will get their number and their printing done at Capelli and be shipped straight to their home. So it'll all be done online. They'll pay for it online. You're looking right around $120 for an adult size, which is 2 jerseys, 2 shorts, 2 socks. And for a youth size, around $105, and that should include shipping actually. So for 2 shirts, 2 shorts, and 2 socks. So we'll have a home and away kit for those numbers.
Any other questions from anyone? Well, quiet group tonight. I appreciate all you parents joining in on our conversation about tryouts. And as always, just email John or me or Tyler, Thalen.
Sorry, Christy, I'm going to ask Jill, do you want to add anything since you've been one of the key people from Legacy?
Other than my excitement, no,
that's a big plus.
Yeah, I think this is the right thing for Springfield soccer. I've been volunteering for 13 years in this community for soccer, so I believe this is a good move. So I'm really excited to see it. My daughter's going to be a senior, so she'll benefit from 1 year, but I know it'll benefit all the other players for years to come. So
We appreciate your support 100%. So
Oh.
you and I have talked for years, and you've always been behind something like this. So
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. And I'm so excited to see how excited the coaches are. I will just tell you, I have told so many people, I wish you guys would get on these calls and listen in on all this stuff and see how excited Thalen and Tyler and Christy and Bruce and Hakeem and just everybody is. It's very reassuring for me as a parent. It's fun. It's fun.
everybody but John, because I don't show excitement. So
Well, yeah, you're
No,
unemotional.
I'm
You're
serious.
self-proclaimed
My
non-emotional.
wife tells me that every day. So
I'm going to shut up now.
and Katie reminds me every day too.
All righty. So thank you everyone for being on. I'll let everybody get off. We will have this recording posted on our Facebook page shortly, and you're welcome to share that with others so that they get an idea of what our tryout process will be like. So I appreciate everybody being on, and thank you for joining in, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.